Point du Hoc, Normandy, where the Rangers came ashore to knock out a battery of guns up on top of this little area right over the beach. This is kind of a 360. It's a tourist deck on top of one of the gun battery positions. There's still plenty of German barbed wire around, blocking off the beach. The Rangers landed down below and somehow got up this cliff little by little, even though people were throwing grenades at them and shooting it out with them. The top had been bombed and shelled, so there's still plenty of shell craters, and some of the bunkers were broken up, but there's plenty of people left up on top to defend. It's never been restored, so all the bunkers are still there and still kind of sitting around in their not their original condition, but they haven't been restored. It's really thick concrete. Most of them had a personnel room down in them and a couple of exits, iron doors. This is a turret, had some kind of machine gun or shell casing turret in it. Boots and a good flashlight to look in a lot of these dark rooms. We were there on a windy, overcast day. And you could see a lot, but if you really had, a lot of the bunkers are partially flooded. You could wade in and poke around, you could really have a look. So keep that in mind if you go. This is a larger gun casemate. Looks like it took some kind of major round that destroyed it. The other side's in a little better shape. It's very impressive. Take a beating from being bombed and from the shelling from the battleship Texas, I think, was one of the major ones that shelled this area. There's still plenty of German troops on top when Colonel Rudder's Rangers got here at about 7 o'clock in the morning and landed down below. There's the actual Ranger monument. It sits on top of a German observation point. It's right on the point. I think this was kind of the main range finding and observation point. It's really not for guns, it's just for calling out ranges and targets. There's a reproduction of it, of this same room that's down below me at the World War II Museum in New Orleans. Going right down the beach. Actual point. And the inscription. It's a very impressive place, and must have been a tough place to try to get up and do something. See this observation deck right under there where people sat and called targets. Pretty bomb-proof with all that concrete over the top of it. Notice that several of the German bunkers, or nearly all the German bunkers, had places to look and fire for their security on the back side. There were peepholes and gun ports. So they weren't just wide open to the back side or blind back there. You could actually look out their doors and look out places and see anybody that was coming in. There's a 360 of the whole point from on top of the tourist deck. See the shell holes, the sea, and the memorial right at the point. All those craters are from bombs and shelling 70 years ago. The place is just loaded with old concrete bunkers. Some of them collapsed and broken up, but a lot of them really intact. When I kind of pushed through the brush and went down in, like the rest of them, it's full of part of the ceiling's fallen in. It's got a big personnel room, a couple of exits. All of a sudden it occurred to me that if somebody shot it out hand to hand on around these bunkers, that there would probably be some bullet marks back at the entryway, and sure enough, as soon as I looked back, right at the doorway there were these big fan-shaped patterns of bullet holes and shrapnel holes. I'm sure the concrete under the mud is really pocked up. They've kind of got some shrapnel marks, and see people threw in grenades and just stood on either side of the doorway and shot as much as they could shoot. I figured the brass was, you know, up at the entranceway and kind of off to the right, since most weapons eject to the right. Went out there and looked around, but the grass was so thick and the mud was so thick I really couldn't see anything. Pretty impressive concrete that Hitler poured into this, trying to get the Atlantic Wall to hold. Of course, it didn't last an hour after the Rangers came over the edge of the cliff and got after them.
Okay, I'm ready.
There's a lot of walking and a lot to look at. Could probably spend a couple hours just at Point du Hoc.